Managing Committee and Bunts Qatar visited the Little Flower Kindergarten, Wakra, and planted a few saplings there today morning. Now, we'll be playing a small video showcasing today's Environment Day celebrations hosted by Bunts Qatar.
Unmuted.
Sorry. So this video was from the morning session what we had today at Little Flower Kindergarten School. We had called a few children to come and help us and join us in the program to plant the saplings what we had received. And now I would like to call upon the most dynamic and talented First Lady President of Bunts Qatar, Dr. Padma Shri Shetty, to welcome the gathering.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and Namaskara, ladies and gentlemen. Wishing you all a very happy Environment Day in advance. As our MC of today's event, Mrs. Vibha Shetty already mentioned, as part of this Environment Day celebration, last week we held paint and plant workshop for all the children and members, which was a free workshop. And we were very glad to share with you all that around 79 participants painted and planted saplings at the same time from their respective houses, which surely brought flower and to our efforts. And well, after the installation of our new management committee of Bunts Qatar, we have been trying our level best to include all our members to contribute towards this planet and be a better human beings. Well, coming to today's event, our guest of honor of today's event, the Public Relation Manager of Friends of Environment Center, Mr. Fahad, for considering our request and to be the guest of honor for this particular event. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Bunts Qatar, I would like to welcome you for this great event of Environment Day celebration by Bunts Qatar. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And as you all are aware, we have two esteemed guest speakers for this event. First of all, Dr. Radom Ben Ahmed, who is the Associate Professor in the College of Arts and Science, Qatar University. Even being very busy due to his academic commitments, he accepted our request and he's accepted to become the guest speaker of today's event. A very warm welcome, Dr. Radom, on behalf of Bunts Qatar. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Abad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And another guest speaker of today's event, I don't have to introduce him. In fact, he's a very familiar face amongst most of us, Mr. Ashwath Hegde, an young entrepreneur from Bangalore. He's the MD of Envy Green Biotech Private Limited. Ashwath, first of all, I would like to thank you for requesting our invitation to be the guest speaker of today's event. A very warm welcome to you, Ashwath, on behalf of Bunts Qatar.
Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone.
Welcome, Ashwath. Well, we have many dignitaries from different associations today, from the apex bodies, ICC, ICBF, and ISC, and heads of other Karnataka-based organizations. And on behalf of Bunts Qatar, I would like to welcome all the dignitaries who are present here today. It's my pleasure to welcome our judges who helped us judge the competition, which we held last week. Different competitions for different age groups, children and elders. Firstly, I would like to welcome Mrs. Miller Arun. She's the past president of ICC, and Dr. Shri Kumar, who is a well-known doctor in Qatar, and Mrs. Deepthi Prakash, who is an artist by profession. And I, on behalf of Bunts Qatar, I would like to welcome all our three esteemed judges for this particular event. And we would like to thank our advisors of Bunts Qatar, our chairman of advisory board, Mr. Deepak Shetty, our founder, president, and advisor, Mr. Ravi Shetty, and the past president and advisor, Mr. Navneet Shetty, to this great evening. Well, a warm welcome to you all. Last but not the least, all the members of Bunts Qatar and friends and well-wishers of Karnataka-based organizations, a very warm welcome to you all, children and elders and everyone. A very, very warm welcome to you all on behalf of Bunts Qatar. I promise it's going to be a great event with a lot of information and entertainment. Please be with us till the end. Lastly, I want to conclude that there are many female environmentalists from India, Medha Patkar, Salu Marada Timmaka, and there are many more. One amongst was Gauri Devi, who actually started the movement called Chipku, that means hug a tree. What she did was, I will just briefly tell and I will end my welcome speech. What she did was, in 1976, some lambers came to cut the trees, and she called out 27 ladies and told them to hug the trees so that they don't cut it. Finally, they left and they went. That is the movement which was created by Gauri. Well, as human beings, we may not be able to contribute to this Mother Earth in big ways like what our such great personalities have done. but surely we can do our bit to the society and to the environment to keep this planet more healthier and friendlier. Thank you all so much. Be with us, and a very warm welcome to you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Padma, for addressing the guest and the audience who are present today. Now, we would like to introduce two of our talented Bunts Qatar members, Twisha and Moksha Shetty. They'll be coming up with a dance which talks more about nature. So let's put our hands together for the two performers.
Earth is the only known planet having life in this universe. We should respect and maintain everything we get from our Mother Earth.
Thank you, girls, for the lovely performance. We would like to tell you all that the dancers have themselves choreographed the dance. The hairdo, the makeup, the accessories were all made by our very own Joint Cultural Secretary, Mrs. Bharti Dhananjay Shetty. So a big round of applause to the participants. Now, I would like to call upon our Vice President, Mr. Dinesh Chandra Shetty, to please come forward and introduce today's guest of honor, Mr. Fahad Abdullah Malik.
Good evening. Salam alaikum. Namaste. It's my great pleasure to welcome and introduce our guest of honor of today's event, Mr. Fahad Abdullah Malik, Public Relations Manager of Friends of Environment Center. Friends of Environment Center, FEC, is an environmental organization established in 1992 in Qatar with the goal of promoting environmental awareness and developing conservation initiatives. The FEC has taken an active role in raising local awareness of the negative effects associated with tobacco smoking. To promote environmental awareness, FEC has organized an event called A Flower Each Spring. Some of the key activities of FEC are HEMA bird conservation projects, insect survey program, bird identification, monitoring and education program, green tent environmental and social awareness program. FEC is kind enough to provide us with 100 saplings for this event. We are extremely grateful for this gesture. I would like to request Mr. Fahad to speak a few words. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you today. It's our duty to the country and to the people in Qatar and to help them for this kind of event, help them toward the environment. It's our duty to our country, to the nature, to everyone. Part of our duty in the Friends of Environment Center is to spread the knowledge about the environment, how to take care of the trees, to plant new trees, flowers, from younger generation to the older one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fahad, for sparing your precious time and gracing this occasion today. We are very grateful to you for accepting our invitation.
Pleasure is mine and it's ours.
Thank you very much, sir. Coming up to the next event. The next song, which highlights the beauty of our nature, is presented by another talented group of Bunts Qatar members.
Hari Hari Vasundhara Neela Neela ye gagan Neela Neela ye gagan वजह से ये खड़े हुए
Thank you guys for such a lovely rendition. The singers of this song were Deepak Shetty, Navya Shetty, Daksha Shetty, Srishti Shetty, Vijayata Shetty, and Dhanya Adappa. For those who could not understand, especially our guest of honor and our guest speaker, we would just like to tell you what the song was all about. So in this song, the singers are actually praising God for coloring the world with such beautiful colors. So it's like praising or thanking God for bringing out all the best in the world. So now I would like to call upon Mr. Manohar Shetty to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Radwan Ben Hamad. Sir, I'm really sorry if I have not pronounced your name correctly, but yes, we would like Mr. Manohar Shetty to please call upon Mr. Radwan.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskara, good evening. Today, we have among us as guest speaker an eminent personality, Dr. Radwan bin Hamdao. Again, I hope I have pronounced it properly. PhD and environment engineer, associate professor of marine science, and lead of the Marine Conservation and Restoration Research Group at Qatar University. He is an eco-hydrologist and oceanographer with an aquaculture engineer and an MSc and a PhD degree from the Sorbonne University in biological oceanography. Prior to joining Qatar University, from 2006 2013, he was research associate professor at the Center of Marine Science and assistant professor at the University of Algiers. He also acted as deputy director of the UNESCO International Center for Coastal Eco-Hydrology from 2009 to 2013. He participated in the launching of EU Erasmus Mundus Master on Eco-Hydrology. He served also as consultant to several companies and governmental agencies in the GCC and Europe. At Qatar University, Dr. Ben was successful in securing, since 2013, over $5.3 million funding for projects mainly dealing with marine resources, sustainability, biodiversity, conservation, coral reefs, ecology, and restoration, and impact of man-made structures on the marine environment. His major R&D project aim to understand the ecological functioning of offshore oil and gas platforms, their connectivity with the natural reefs, and their contribution to support local productivity, fisheries, and regional biodiversity. Dr. Ben Hamdao was appointed head of the Department of Biological and Environmental Science 2017 to 2019 and to the task force to develop Qatar University research strategy in 2014, 2016, and 2019. Dr. Ben Hamdao acted up to 2016 as president of the Arabian Gulf branch of the CTEC Society and is co-founder of the International Society of Eco-Hydrology. He was awarded in 2016 the QUCAS Excellence Research Award. He co-authored 95 plus peer review publications in international journals and books and has supervised 16 MSc and 6 PhD students. This is a very brief introduction of Dr. Radwan. He has many more achievements. We don't have that much time. And now I call upon Dr. Radwan to share his thoughts on the marine biology and his vast experience to our audience. Thank you very much, Dr. Radwan, for accepting our invitation today as guest speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Padmashri and Ms. Vibha and Mr. Manohar for this introduction and the opportunity to celebrate with the Indian community here in Qatar the International Environment Day, and raising the awareness about here. I will not be diving into the waters of Qatar, so I'm rising into the air and talking about another aspects of my research about climate change and how this climate change is affected or affecting the COVID-19 pandemic. So with Dr. Padmashri, we prioritize these topics on other marine related topics, and hopefully in the near future I would be happy and very honored to come back into this community and talk a little bit more about our marine work. So with no further ado, I will share with you the my screen. If it's possible to just enable me to share my screen, if possible.
You're shared, Dr. Radwan.
Okay, now it's fine. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my my screen right now. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. So I will try actually during the upcoming minutes to demystify some concepts about climate change and how this pandemic has been affecting not only our environment or the climate change itself, but also the how this pandemic has been also shaping the policy-making process, and this not only in Qatar or India, but worldwide. So before getting into the details of such impact the pandemic is having on the climate system, let me take some minutes to explain what is climate change and how it is happening. Yeah, it's working. Great. Okay, so climate change is actually a natural process. It's a natural cycle. Climate was always changing. Indeed, Earth experienced period of glaciation and other warmer periods during the interglacial periods. And actually fossils of alligators were found in Spitsbergen. It's a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic Ocean. So what is the difference with today's climate change? So the problem we are facing today is because the speed of change in the climate system is very high, and the temperatures are increasing in a way that our Earth is not coping with those changes. So our planet is heating up, and heating up quite fast, causing the long-term changes to our weather. That is what we are talking about when we mention climate change. So that's due to human activities, and we will come back to that aspect later on. So what we see from this graph is that when we try to explain the temperature that we are witnessing today through only natural drivers that are in green below, we see that the actual observed temperatures that are in black are not following that green curve. While when we are adding up the human drivers only, actually these simulations, the simulation from modeling from the IPCC models, do match the observed temperatures, and therefore, when we are saying that climate change is changing definitely in a normal and in a natural way, yes, but what humans is adding up to that natural changes is what is causing the increase of this temperature in a very rapid and high pace. So this also has been linking with extremes, such as the ones that we are witnessing during the last years or months, from devastating fires in Australia, from torrential rains in Indonesia, or in Europe's records breaking temperatures during the last summer, or what we call the heat waves. And this is down to us, to humans. Okay. So indeed, from the 19th century, during the Industrial Revolution, coal, oil, and gas, known as fossil fuels, have transformed the way we live. But only later that we discovered the problems associated to them and that they were causing. But that was too late, because every one of us had already his own TV, his car, the computers, the microwaves, the planes, and also all the plastic that we are using in our daily lives. Burning fossil fuels releases gases that trap the heat from the sun. That is why they are known as greenhouse gases. So this is what is shown in this animation is when the sun radiation comes to Earth. Part of it is radiated out to the outer space. But when we are increasing the CO2 and the greenhouse gases, that radiation is kept into the atmosphere, and that's what makes the atmosphere warmer and warmer, and that's what will cause the greenhouse effect. And therefore, between what we see here in a more unmanned world, and with human enhanced greenhouse effects, what we will see is that the temperature in the atmosphere will be increased mainly due to the increase of these greenhouse gases. And the CO2 in the atmosphere is today the highest concentration that we ever had on Earth. So for millions of years, the concentration of CO2 has never been as high as today. And that's CO2 is one of the major responsible of that greenhouse effect that we are having today. And issues like deforestation are making the problem worse, since not removing that excess of CO2. So just here in the last few years, what we can see is that definitely what we see from an observatory in the middle of the Pacific, in Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii, is where we see the best way the CO2 in the atmosphere on Earth. And what we see is that we have this increase of the CO2 concentration during the whole period of time. And I'm stopping here the graph prepositely in March 2020, when the major COVID-19 restrictions have been in place worldwide. And we will be following that story in the next slides. So these emissions are usually generated actually by humans activities. Where, for example, for developed countries here, I'm giving the example of the US, where 28% of the emissions are generated from transportation, and 28% are from electricity generation, and industry are responsible for other 22%. Agriculture, commercial, and households are responsible for respectively 9%, 6%, and 5% of the emissions. So with this emissions and with this greenhouse effect that is being witnessed on Earth, the average temperature is now 1.1 degrees higher than it was in the pre-industrial era. Is that the problem? 1.1 degrees centigrades change does not look like a huge difference, actually. But these tiny changes are already changing our planet. Take the Arctic, for example. Half of the volume of the sea ice has been lost since the 70s. And the temperature are still going up. And if nothing is done, so the business as usual that we see here with the graph in red, we will be, by the end of this century, over 3 or 5 degrees more than the pre-industrial era. That means what? That means dramatic changes in our Earth. So we will take, for example, the case of the sea level rise, where this sea level rise will put hundreds of millions living in coastal cities at risk. So in this graph, for example, just taking the case of Qatar, sea level rise, by the end of this century, we will have 2 cases and 2 scenarios. The one in the right is where we will have extreme carbon cuts, okay? And in the left, we will have unchecked pollution, so the business as usual. And definitely depending on our scenarios and depending on our activities, we will have or a flooding of the coastal zone that is quite mild to low, or a very extreme floodings of the whole coastal areas in Qatar. And that's not science fiction. This is already something that is happening, and we are witnessing that on the global ocean through altimetry, so through satellites measurements of the level of the ocean, and there is definitely and is demonstrated an increase of the sea level rise during the last decade. And this is mainly due to the thermal expansion of the ocean. Whatever things that you will be heating up, they will be expanding. So imagine the volume of water that we have in the whole ocean that is warming up, and that warming of the ocean will be increasing its volume. It's not only the melting of the sea ice, it's not the melting of the sea caps on the Arctic or the Antarctic, but it's mainly the expansion of the thermal expansion of the water. And I'm just giving the case of the sea level rise, but you can think about deadly heat waves, extreme droughts, fires, intense periods of rainfalls, and of course floodings. And we unfortunately saw some of them during the last years in India. So this is caused. Is this caused by humans? So as some skeptical will suggest, that is not. Well, what science tells us is the contrary. It says that the industrial activities that our modern civilization depends upon have raised atmospheric carbon dioxide levels from 280 before the industrial era, so 280 parts per million ppm, to 412 parts per million in the last 150 years. So scientists, 1,300 of them, independent scientific experts from all countries all over the world, that's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or what we call the IPCC. All those good peoples attributed the global warming trends observed since the mid-20th centuries to the human expansion of the greenhouse effect. So that warming that is resulting when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the Earth toward the space, as we explained. So the IPCC 1300 experts concluded there are more than 90% probability, 95 exactly, probability that human activities over the past 50 years have warmed our planet. That's like taking your child to the hospital because he has extreme fever. And you see 100 doctors, and 95 of them will suggest you to take him in urgency to the intense care, while 5 only will advise you to go back to home and give him some honey and some spices. What will you be doing? will you not take that risk and come back home as nothing is happening? So I will let you answer that question. So what we could keep in mind after this small introduction on climate change. So the climate change we are witnessing today is mainly due to human activities. And even if it's something that is happening during the whole Earth history, the rate of it is mainly due to human activities. So the activities are emitting CO2 and other gases that are trapping that heat within the atmosphere through the greenhouse effect. This is warming our Earth and disturbing the climate system and impacting us all and our environment, of course. Through extreme weather conditions and changes in how the environment is functioning, if nothing is done, business as usual, Earth will not be most likely unlivable in several regions by the end of this century. And one of those regions is actually the Arabian Gulf. So emissions should be reduced in order to halt the rate of changes of the climate. And then the COVID-19 spread. And the positive and negative effects COVID-19 is having on the climate change. Even if it's possible today that for people in India to see Himalayas, for example, for the first time in 30 years, or the people in Venice, in Italy, to finally see fishes in their canals, it's still impossible to quantify exactly the effect this pandemic will have on the climate system. But still, it's somehow obvious the worldwide reduction of industrial, economic, and social activities are having on the emissions of greenhouse will have on that effect. So this is actually something humanity has already witnessed in the past when other pandemics spread or economic recession happened, like during the Great Depression in 1928, or the two oil shocks in the 70s, or more recently during the 2008 financial crisis or financial crash. Nevertheless, we have still no evidence on the effect of the reduction of the total concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere due to the pandemics, and we will come to that. So remember, the concentration we measure in the atmosphere is not just resulting from what we emit today, but all what we accumulated, or the cumulative emissions we are having in the last decade. So what you are emitting today, or what you are measuring today, is not what you are emitting today. What you are measuring today is what you accumulated during the last decades of emissions. Still, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we are witnessing a global reduction of the emissions. So that is for true. So if we can see here, for example, we come back to the Mauna Loa Observatory of the CO2 in the Pacific. What we see is here is just the last years. And what we see is, if we take the average of the 2016 to 2020, that's the yellow curve. But if we stop 2020 and we go over, what we will see is that we have a reduction of around 12% of the emissions from the normal trend that we had during the last years, and the trend or the emissions that we had during the last 2 years, or the year one and a half. So dramatic changes in behavior, for example, through locking down entire countries during mainly 2020, have only resulted in a predicted 8% reduction in emission at best, and we are up to end of the third semester after these reductions, and we are around 12% of these reductions. And this is mainly to industry lockdown. So we remember 25% of China was closed, or reduction of transportation-related activities, where air traffic has dramatically dropped, actually. And just giving here an animation, for example, just to show if it works. Hopefully it works. Is it working? No. Yeah. So that's the air traffic in April 2019 in the left compared to April 16, 2020. And definitely what you can see here is a major changes in this air traffic and all the pollution that we know airplanes could play in such emissions for CO2. So, but also road transportation has resulted for the US, for example, here, a reduction of 52% decline, 52% decline in the gasoline and 75% decline in jet fuel demand. And this is because of the pandemics during 2020. So if COVID-19 leads to a drop in emissions of around 12 to 15% by the end of 2021, let's say, then that is the sort of reduction we need every year, actually, until net zero emissions are reached around 2050. So the net zero emissions is as much as you are emitting in the atmosphere, you are capturing also from the atmosphere. So there is no addition of the concentration of the CO2 into the atmosphere. This is what we call the net zero emission. And even if this would not come close to the brinking the 1.5 degrees global temperature within by the end of this century, global emissions will need to fall by some 7.6% every decade for every year for this decade. So in order to limit warming to less than 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial era, we need to have around 7 to 8% reduction of our emissions every year. It's not because of the COVID or because of the pandemics. So that's what we take as. So this is somehow the points for the thing. So shall we create pandemics, or shall we create sustainable solutions? So such emissions reductions will not happen via lockdowns and restrictions, but with climate policies that lead to the development of, let's say, clean technologies and reductions in demand for energy. So climate change is irreversible. What we try to do is to lower its pace. So let's keep in mind that climate change will be happening anyway. What humans are able to do is to reduce the speed at which that increase of the temperature is happening. So what are the expected effects or the seen effect of this pandemic on the climate? And this is on the long versus the short-term trends. So let's start with the brighter sides of the expected effects. Besides the marginal positive effect on the short-term air or water pollution, we should have something quite important, that is politicians and the general public will listen more and more to, or are listening more and more to the scientists. We already understood that it's not Ronaldo or Messi who will save our life, but the doctor and the nurses and the scientists in the lab who are developing a cure, or developed a cure, or developing a vaccine, or developing the way how they will be developing, mitigating the effect, the health effect of the pandemic. All the scientists also learn to work and share data and to develop global solutions, and even logistics have been developed to share the vaccines. So it's definitely the most pressing global issue that needed a global solution. So hopefully the ordinary person learned that we can change and reduce our frenetic conceptions. We had to stay at home. We didn't fly back to our countries for holidays, and we didn't drive our cars, and we didn't have so much consumerism. So that's the sufficiency, and the decision and policymakers learned that production systems should be more efficient, and that we should produce locally with our own resources when there was those lockdowns. That is what we call efficiency and consistency. And all these three are the pillars of sustainability. So this crisis creates also an opportunity to not invest in recovery efforts, but also the policy and the real actions to what we call decarbonize our economies, such as smart grids for lower electricity consumption, investments in or using clean energies, and switch to a more eco-friendly ways of transportation. So electric vehicles, more efficient public transportation. But in the other side also, what we saw and what we expect as effects, negative effects of this pandemic, is that the world is focused on the pandemic, has meant less attention is being paid to climate change, unfortunately. So fears of politicians to be focused on economic recovery rather than fighting climate change. So for example, the negotiation of the climate change for the COP26 were suspended for several months during the last year. And the politicians will have to show that their economies are recovering fast and then may ignore environmental issues. So they need to be elected for the next elections, and therefore they need to prioritize economy and social rather than environment and climate change. The cheap oil also meant more emissions and less investments on renewables, and more emissions will mean faster climate change. And therefore we understood that after all, this pandemic should have an ambiguous effect on climate change, with contrasting potential effects that are short-term to finish on a more dramatic economic recovery that may be really detrimental for the environment and climate change specifically. But to finish with a positive note and with some hope, the way to go for government and people will depend on each one of us, on our ability to act now and in a significant way. As we know, we are the first generation to witness the impact of climate change and the last generation that can do something about it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, and hope it was not gloomy. But definitely the momentum is not really under a positive mood. But it's up to every one of us to make this outlook looking more brighter and more cheerful, inshallah. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Radwan, for sharing your knowledge about the reasons behind the climate change. We're very thankful to you for accepting our invitation and sparing your valuable time with us. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll be coming up with a short video. So we would like to just ask you all to see the video, and we'll come back to the topic of the video later. Now, we would like to call upon Mr. Subhash Chandra Shetty to speak a few words about Mr. Ashwath Hegde.
Thank you, Mrs. Vibhashati. Salam alaikum, namaskara, good evening everyone. On this beautiful evening, this task of introducing our guest and speaker, Mr. Ashwath Hegde, founder and managing director, NV Green Biotech India, is my great privilege. I know this one is difficult, but the thought that he is a man of virtue and simplicity, I feel elated to introduce him to everyone. Mr. Ashwath Hegde is known for his contribution towards environment by his eco-friendly products. Mr. Hegde is a management degree holder. He started his entrepreneurial journey in 2012 at the age of 20. When most of the people in the young generations, they will search for this job in this age. But Mr. Ashwath Hegde started manufacturing and exporting eco-friendly tableware made from fallen leaves of betel nut trees. Hegde's journey began in 2012 when the city corporation of his hometown Mangalore, Karnataka banned plastic bags. In search of substitutes, he formed an R&D team with the help of few European friends. Meanwhile, he shifted base to Qatar, where he set up Green Corporation, imports of the eco-friendly and packaging products and plates of betel nut tree. 4 years research and development of R&D team Bangalore fruit in 2016 when the company launched its first Go Green campaign in states of Qatar. 13 ambassadors joined hand together to say no to plastic. In August 2016, Ashwath Hegde formed private limited company Evergreen Biotech Private Limited to manufacture India's first 100% plastic-free substitute to plastic packaging products. Evergreen products have been certified by Central Institute of Plastic Engineering Technology, CUV SUD, area as 100% plastic-free products. Ashwath's effort in bringing these plastic-free products was organized in 2017 with him being listed in Forbes India Under 30 and Forbes Asia Under 30 Achievers. Young entrepreneur Mr. Ashwath have received the Icon of the Year 2017 award organized by Self-Made Z Business and WBR Corporation Best Entrepreneur of the Year 2017, Best Brand of Green Technology Evergreen Award for his achievement in the very young age. He has also participated in Weekend with Ramesh Young Achievers Meet 2019, and he has represented India in Changemakers Assembly organized by the United Nations, which is held in Shanghai this year. If your actions inspires others to dream more, clear more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Mr. Ashwath Hegde is living inspiration to the young one, and the young one, I mean our new generation. We are very proudly informing you all that he is one of the sponsors for today's event. Thank you for this kind gesture, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you all give him a big round of applause for his contribution towards the environment. Now I would like to request Mr. Hegde, please share your thoughts and your future products towards the environmental issues. We are grateful to your presence, accepting our invitation. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the introduction. And thank you, Team Bunts Qatar and its dynamic president, Dr. Padmashri Shetty and team, for giving an opportunity to interact with my good old friends from Qatar. It's been a while since I met you guys, but I sincerely thank Bunts Qatar for giving me this opportunity. Well, Environment Day. Celebration of celebrating Environment Day it has become a trend nowadays. We used to celebrate Environment Day. We used to plant tree or saplings on every June 5th during our school college days. And next, we used to remember that sapling after a year, the next Environment Day. But unfortunately, it has become a trend now. But I'm sure a team like Bunts Qatar will definitely keep up this spirit, the nurturing and taking care of that saplings, because I have witnessed your various activities. And it is really important to spread such awareness, especially to the youngsters and kids. I heard that you have been conducting various competitions to the kids. It's a wonderful initiative. I'd like to congratulate the team Bunts Qatar for that. Well, when it comes to the matter, the current scenario, we all are suffering from, and we all been affected from current pandemic, and we started using mask to protect from this virus. I would like to start my small talk with the request of not using face mask made out of plastic and the polypropylene. We always think that this is made out of cloth. Unfortunately, my dear friends, this mask is made out of polypropylene, which is one part of one among poly family, which is more dangerous than polyethylene, and it doesn't degrade under natural condition. And if you throw it out, it just create one more mess. I'm really worried after a few years we will have to take some more initiative to eradicate from this particular mess or plastic waste from this earth, because it has become a trend of using use and throw mask, and already we have seen various marine mammals dying just because of these masks. So I would like to request my dear friends to use cloth mask as much as possible. Well, we at Envy Green initiate a very unique product as an alternative to plastics. In fact, most of you guys are aware of it, because I started my journey, especially introducing biodegradable alternatives in Qatar in 2016, and most of you guys joined hand together and supported me during my initial days. So we have developed a material which dissolves in hot water, looks like a plastic, burns like a paper, but it's not a plastic bag. It's made out of tapioca starch and vegetable oil derivatives. The very idea of this particular thing has struck in my mind in 2012 when Mangalore City Municipality banned plastics. So right now, since 2012 to 2021, almost 9 to 10 years of my entrepreneur career, I have witnessed a drastic and significant change in the current scenario. The people started getting more aware about this particular thing. They started using more eco-friendly products. As Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi said, this earth is not our property. It is we have borrowed this from our future generation, and it is our duty to keep this earth clean and safe for our future generation, or else our next generation will curse on us. See, Mr. Ridwan has raised a few points about climate change. My dear friends, it's very simple to handle this climate change. Just start this change from our house. Simple. Reduce the use of plastics, reuse it. If you have if you have already used plastic, just start reuse it and recycle it. So it's very easy to say no to plastics. See, we all have been saying no to plastics, raised slogans, conducted jatas, rallies, saying say no to plastics, say no to plastics, by holding a play card made out of plastic. So it is very easy to say the slogans or dialogues, but when it comes to implementation part, it is very difficult to get rid of plastics because it has become an integral part of our daily life. So what best we can do is just reuse it. Reuse the plastics which we have already, reduce the usage of plastic, and recycle it. These are the 3 R mantras to save this earth from plastic waste. I have conducted a study a few years ago regarding the entire Gulf region. There are many camels dying every year just because of this plastic thrown out of in the desert. And especially, there are very special marine mammals and fishes in that particular ocean is started. It's reducing day by day just because of the plastic wastage. There is one island which is created in the Pacific Ocean, which is almost 50 times bigger than the Texas city. That that island is made out of plastic waste. So we all need to bring the change with ourselves so that we can, the day when we start reducing the plastics, reducing the plastic waste, so we can save our environment much better and bigger way. That is the biggest tribute we can give this to earth. So the tagline of Envy Green is tribute to Mother Earth. What best we can do? See, we worship cows, we worship our land, earth, we worship our water, panchabhutas, we say. At the same time, we throw garbages, we throw plastic waste everywhere, and we pollute this particular the Mother Earth, and we cut the trees. And we say that papers can be a perfect alternatives, but to make paper, we have to chop the trees. So one or other way, we have been polluting and giving torture to the Mother Earth. What best we can do is the only one way to save Earth from all these unwanted garbages or unwanted wastes. My dear friends, we in India, we worship cows as Gomata, and it has become a very big political issue as well. But for your kind information, more than 60% of cows are street animals dying every year just because of plastic waste. So this is the change we need to bring from our house. So I would like to congratulate Team Bunts Qatar for conducting this initiative to spread the awareness about this particular thing among our young kids and the next generation. I think it's a wonderful initiative. I think I have only 10 minutes time to interact with you, so that I will not take it much lengthy talk. Thank you for a wonderful opportunity. I look forward to interact with you guys more in future. And congratulations once again, Team Bunts Qatar, Team Dr. Padmashree Shetty and her team. And a big thanks to the entire team of Indians, Kannadigas in Qatar. I hope please stay safe, stay happy, and time will definitely pass. This corona will definitely pass. So brighter days are coming ahead. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm looking forward to meet you guys soon. Thank you.
Shopping for groceries, shopping bag. Drinking coffee, plastic cup. Wrapping a gift, plastic sheets. Now, touch your heart and tell us, don't you think it's bad? Forget it. Even your heart has become plastic. India consumes 5.6 million metric tons of plastic every year, and sadly, nobody knows how to manage it. Actually, the cow does. But is there a way to avoid plastic? Wait, actually, you do. Hi, I'm Ashwath Hegde, and I'm on a mission to make India plastic free with EG bags. India's first 100% organic carry bag. It dissolves in water, burns like a paper, and it can even be consumed. It's not me, but it's the Government of India approved labs who have testified that it's not plastic. So, why pay 20 rupees for cotton bags? EG bags cost just 3 rupees. And if you still don't believe me, drop in your details. I will consume EG bags for you in person.
Thank you, Mr. Ashwath. That was very nice and very informative. That was very nice and informative, and we hope that you are an inspiration to the younger generation. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining us tonight. We are now open to the public. If you have any questions to ask to our guest of honors or the guest speakers, you are more than welcome. Anyone would like to ask any questions? Any questions to Mr. Ashwath Hegde regarding his products? He has asked us not to use the face masks, and you go in for the cloth mask, for the disposable masks.
Yeah, just a question for Ashwath Hegde. I am Navneet Shetty. Hope I am audible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Ashwath, nice to hear from you after a long time. One question, have you expanded to the regions like Middle East?
We have started supplying a couple of consignments to Dubai, not yet entered to Qatar. Qatar, the few samples were given through my Qatar partner, but unfortunately, we are looking for much better response from Qatar. So soon we'll enter Qatar's market as well. But as of now, it is available in US, UK, almost 3-4 countries in Europe. Dubai, we have done a couple of consignments through Spinneys and Carrefour.
Okay. And other than bags, we have any other product? It's only bags.
Well, as of now, in India, we have introduced medical aprons and aprons for especially barber shops and all, dentist aprons and all during this pandemic as an alternative to the plastic PP kits. But for the export market, we are into bin liners, carry bags especially, and garbage bags. Very soon we will come up with the aprons as well.
Thank you, Ashwath.
Okay.
Any questions to Mr. Radwan?
Good evening, Dr. Radwan. Good evening, Bunts Qatar. I'm very happy to see Dr. Radwan. I would like to inform you that he was my professor during my PhD coursework, and each and every talks or lectures I attended was as interesting as we had today. And although the field of my study or my stream was completely away from his field, because of his interesting talks, I gained lots of interest towards environment and eco-friendly eco-friendly, being eco-friendly, and developing sustainable development in Qatar as well as all over the world. I have to mention he has a very good and interesting project about coral reef restoration, and he's the one who taught us about a beautiful palace inside the sea, where different interactions takes place between the different species. So he always talks about eco-friendly and ecosystem biotic and abiotic interactions. So my questions to you, Dr. Ridwan, you mentioned about net zero emission. Is it still a concept, or is it possible in future in the developing world? What is your personal opinion? Is it doable, or it's just a concept?
Yeah, thank you, Harshita, or should I say Dr. Harshita, one of our brightest PhD students. Yeah, that's possible, definitely. The worst thing is that we lose hope, actually, as demonstrated by Ashwat and by much more other initiatives worldwide. We are able not only to, by the worst actions, but also with good actions to reach that net zero emissions. And once again, that means that our emissions will equal the capture of CO2. Definitely, it's not country specific, it should be on the global. So we cannot really calculate or measure how much emissions one country is having and how much CO2 is being capturing or sequestering. And therefore, is that possible? Yes, definitely it's possible. The problem is that it should be done as soon as possible, and that these reductions of the unbalance between how much we are emitting and how much we are consuming and how much we are capturing, and that is resulting in the increase of the CO2 in the atmosphere. So once we are in the net zero, then therefore the two quantities are equal, and that's very, very quite feasible if every one of us does his role as consumers, the policymakers, the industry. So all of us needs to act to reach that net zero emissions. Definitely, the target is to reach it by 2050. But there is several simulations in terms of different policy effects. Mainly, the policy is the driving of this. Depending on so many scenarios of policies, we can even reach it by 2042. That's the best scenario. Or even if several governments goes with loose policies, we will reach it only by the end of this century, which is very, very, very late, definitely. So don't lose hope, Harshita, please.
Sure, Doctor. Thank you very much. I have another question, very specific to Qatar or Middle East. How the afforestation is going to be beneficial when it comes to country like desert like Qatar? How it is going to be doable or feasible? Because it needs even right from water, they have lots of processes need to be done. Is it like profitable to environment, or how is it? Like it's your personal opinion, Doctor.
Yeah, very good questions. Definitely, it's much easier for us as humans to grow a tree in the Amazon, or do not deforest rather than afforest. So the afforestation is when you are putting a tree in a forest where there was no trees or forest. Deforestation or the reforestation is where you are removing in the deforestation part of the forest, and the reforestation is when you are putting back those trees in the forest. Definitely, there is a lot of initiatives here, not only in Qatar, but definitely we heard about the 1 billion trees by by Saudi Arabia, for example. Is that feasible? Yes, it's feasible. Is that will positively affect the environment? That will depend on how you implement it. Definitely, depending on the region where you will be, mainly in all the regions of Saudi Arabia except the southwestern region, where rainfalls are quite abundant. All the others are water stressed regions, and therefore you will need to water your trees to make them grow. Definitely you can have a much more saline resistant vegetation, so species that can handle saline soil and lack of water, but definitely they will need some water. And if you are targeting 1 billion trees, definitely you will have to provide some water for it. Definitely you will not be using desalinated water that will be emitting CO2 and so on and so forth, but you can use your TSE, so the treated sewage effluents, to landscaping instead of putting them into the sea. So once again, it depends on how you are implementing that program, and depending on how it will be, how much it will be beneficial to the environment. It will depend on how much sustainable practices you will be implementing that.
Thank you, Doctor.
But definitely, it's a very good question, because sometimes we heard about, let's say, eco-friendly products or electric cars and so on, but we need also to put them into what we call the life cycle assessment, so the LCA, in terms of when you are producing a battery for an electrical car, you are producing or emitting a lot of CO2. So for an electrical car to be really carbon neutral, let's say, it needs to run during 7 years, for example, by an average today. So once again, you need, as you are doing now, put in perspective all these environmental actions and so on in their real cost effective in terms of carbon balance.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Radwan, for answering Harshita's questions. We would now like to introduce a few of our new members who have joined the Bunts Qatar family. 2011 puttadina Bunts Qatar, 10 varshad malla mara aatandi. Aitu itella posat chigulu puttondulla. We are glad to add a few members to our Bunts Qatar family. We have the first slide presentation coming up from Mr. Yashas Rai. It speaks about environmental and sustainability. Please bear with us. We have a small glitch. There's some technical issues. We'll connect with you shortly.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನಾವು ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಜೂನ್ 5ಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವ ಪರಿಸರ ದಿನ ಆಚರಿಸ್ತಾ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಜಾಗೃತಿ ಮೂಡಿಸ್ತಾನೇ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಕಲುಷಿತವಾಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಬಳಕೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸಸಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಬೆಳೆಸಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಣ ಏನಂದರೆ ಈ ಪರಿಸರ ದಿನ ಕೇವಲ ನಾವು ಜೂನ್ 5ಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದು. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಇರೋದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಾರಣ. ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಪರಿಸರ ದಿನ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗೃತಿ ಮೂಡಿಸೋದ್ರಿಂದನೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬದಲಾಗಿ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಯರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ತರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರ್ಯರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ತರಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಜನಜಾಗೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಬದಲಿಸುವ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹಾಗೆ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಬದಲಾಗಬೇಕು. ಈ ಪರಿಸರ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನಾಂಗಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಮೊದಲು ನಾವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. 100 ಸಸಿ ನೆಡೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಸಸಿ ನೆಟ್ಟರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಜೋಪಾನವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಸಾಕು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಸಿ ನೆಟ್ಟು ಬೆಳೆಸೋಕೆ ಆಗೋಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಇರೋ ಸಸಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಮರಗಳನ್ನು ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ನೀವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಬಳಕೆ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕಾಗದ ಮತ್ತು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ಗಳನ್ನ ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಬಳಸಿ. ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಬಳಸೋ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ದಿನೇ ದಿನೇ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಹಾಗೂ 10 ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಹಾಗೂ ಪರಿಸರ ತನ್ನಿಂದ ತಾನೇ ಸುಧಾರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಪರಿಸರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಆದರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೂಡ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನಾಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಪರಿಸರ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ನಿರೀಕ್ಷಿಸುವ ಬದಲು ಅದು ನಮ್ಮಿಂದಲೇ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಅಗತ್ಯ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್.
So these were some of our new joiners, or what we call in Tulu is Hosa Shiguru. I hope I've pronounced it rightly now. Mr. Sukaram Shetty, subcommittee member. He was the one who spoke in Kannada about the environment. We could not play Mr. Yash's Rai's video due to some technical errors. Mr. Raviraj Shetty, he was the one who informed us about indoor plants and what are the benefits of having these plants and the maintenance, how it needs to be done. The last slide was from Mr. Akshat Shetty, and he has briefed us about pollution and environment. Thank you to all the new joiners, and we hope to see many more Bunts joining the community and helping us grow our community further. Going ahead, the next agenda on our list is to announce the winners of the various environment-based competitions we held the past week. Though our judges need no introduction, I have the honor and privilege of introducing our judges for today. First on our list is Mrs. Milal Arun. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. She needs no introduction. She's the most dynamic past president of ICC and is a very well-known personality in the Indian expat community in Qatar. Our second judge for the competition is Mr. Dr. Sri Kumar. He's a very famous doctor in Qatar and also a very good artist. Our third judge is Mrs. Dipti Rani Prakash, who's also a very well-known artist, and we have all seen her during the last week paint and plant session, which was conducted by her. We would now like to call upon our judges to speak a few words. Mrs. Milan Arun, would you be able to speak a few words for us?
Certainly. Thank you. Matara Namaskara. Bunts Qatar, the dynamic lady president, Dr. Padmashri Shetty, management committee of Bunts Qatar, and members of Bunts Qatar. The guest of honor, Mr. Fahad, the other guest speakers, Mr. Ben Hamoudou, and Inkalilladane Uduga Pannodi Panoli, our Ashwath Hegde. A very inspiring story for us. Ashwath, congratulations, you got married and you make us proud, man. I'm very happy to see you speaking today here in this program. It was a pleasure to be part of this Bunts Qatar meeting. It was indeed a great privilege. I say that, I underline it, I make it bold, to be able to have the privilege of judging 3 categories of the contests being conducted by Bunts Qatar. For the youngsters, it was for the card making and best out of waste, and for the adults, mono acting. The card making and the best out of waste was the basic, the way the judgment was done was to see the materials they are used, what concept they brought it onto the creations they were putting in for the competition, and how the detailing in the presentation was. Now, I must say, I think we never dreamt this even a year ago, I should say. I think it's more than a year ago that we would be seeing all these competitions online. But then here we are, and Bunts Qatar had made it possible. What I would like to share 2 lines on this is, I'm very happy that many children have participated. A big round of applause to the children. This Bunts Qatar's competition, I want to inform every participant and the people who are witnessing this is, we are taking care of something which belongs to the children. It's a legacy we are leaving for them. So it's very important we educate them that how important environment is. And this is a legacy they have to transfer to their future generations. So this is amazing way of making them understand, involving them in such competitions. And the next one was the mono acting. I was very happy to see action on again on the on this type of a platform. Again, the concept, the script, the costume, and the delivery and the overall presentation was judged in the competition when it was put across to the participants. What I request Bunts Qatar members, please convey this to each and every member. When your association comes up with such participatory initiatives, be it competitions or just being there or putting in your best, please come forward and put in your efforts, be a part of it. We do have some winners today, but for me, everybody who participated is a winner. Why? Because you have understood, like adults have understood, like, you know, at the back of mind, taking care of the environment is important. But then when you took part in the competition, you are not only telling yourself, hey, I have to really remember in my busy day, in my busy life, I've forgotten what is environment, how important it is for me and my children and therefore and my grandchildren. You are not only self-reminding yourself, you're involving your children, and they are going to get wondering, what are my parents involving in? Why is it that important? So you are encouraging them to think deeply on that subject. So so for me, everybody is a winner, and Bunts Qatar, Dr. Padma Shetty, and the managing committee team, that was a wonderful initiative. I loved watching today's program. Speeches were wonderful, very educative, and once again, thank you, Bunts Qatar, for the social commitment and the environment commitment you are doing for us and for everybody, for your team, your members, and thereby to the whole world. Jai Qatar, Jai Bharat. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mrs. Milan Arun, for judging the competitions and for sparing your valuable time with us today. Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Mrs. Deepti Rani Prakash to please speak a few words.
Good evening, everyone. It was a great pleasure to watch you doing something really valuable to the environment, and the program was amazing. The guest speakers were amazing. It was a really eye-opener, and even the slides about the plants, about like how to water, take care of indoor plants also, it was amazing to watch. And hats off to the team, Bunts team. Thank you so much for like giving me this opportunity to judge. It was amazing to see the children work beautifully. Like everybody's work were amazing. Like I cannot judge. It is like it is so difficult, but then it was amazing. And hats off to the parents who were really encouraging them to participate. And it is not that easy during this time, buying things and then making them participate in these kind of activities. And hats off to them. Thank you so much, parents, for making the children come into like as of me, like art, and they learn how to plant everything, that how much important it is to plant. That is great effort by parents also. That's all the teamwork by the Bunts is amazing actually. And I'm really amazed with the children's creations, because I could see a lot of like everybody's work was unique. It was not, even though it is similar pictures, I could see their uniqueness in that particular pictures. And everybody is a winner. Keep rocking, children. Keep painting as of me. And when it comes to environment, I would say, like, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. We as a team, like, can bring so much difference. As a proof, this during our plant and paint session itself, we have almost planted 80 plants in a day. That is not small. Okay, it is just the beginning. We can do more and more. I would be happy to be anytime I can do this for Bunt and for anything. So it is amazing. It is not a small, it is a great start. We can change this world. Okay, so just keep doing it. And there is like every small act, like you can just change this by just a small act. I could say just some small examples. Like if you are having a fruit, instead of throwing the fruit seeds in the garbage, just put it in the soil. It will grow. It might take some time, but it will grow. Just throw it. Just you're eating dates every day now. I know everybody is about immunity. All we talk so much about fruits and everything. So you just throw the seeds in the soil and it will grow up into a beautiful tree one day. And then when you're buying things, okay, instead of buying the things in plastic bags, like imagine if you're buying a salt packet, instead of buying a plastic box, just buy a paper bag salts. If you're buying a sauce bottle, instead of buying a plastic bottle, just exchange it with a glass bottle. It's just a simple act from you. Just think before you buy something. Okay, that gives you, if we are almost 51 here, So if each one of us are thinking, then obviously it will bring in a big change. If we are thinking, our children will also think. So it is not so small, like we are a big team now. So let's all bring in changes. Like if you are like in Almira, you can just see in Qatar, like if you are collecting your plastic bottles and if you're going and depositing in the garbage, you earn points and you can use those points when you're purchasing in Almira. So it is, they are taking so much of efforts. Why don't we collect our plastic bags just from your house, your neighbor's house, collect it every week, you go and deposit. It's something, it's not that difficult. It's one just like maybe a half an hour work. So there is so many things going around. We have to bring in changes. So we have to think and act. That's what. So if you're using a yogurt box, every day we are using and we are throwing. Every week at least we throw 2 yogurt boxes. Why don't we plant something in the yogurt boxes? Why don't we use it, reuse it? So it is not going to, like, you can plant. And I have loads and loads of yogurt boxes painted and planted. So it is just a small efforts that we take to care the environment. Like when you're going to grocery, as the slide shows us, told us, just carry your bag. Just always have all small bags in a big bag, then carry that. It is so simple. It is just a practice. So make it a practice and bring in a great change. We can make it, okay? And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Bunts.
Thank you, Mrs. Dipti Prakash. I hope we can bring some changes and practice what you have told us today and make a huge change to the environment. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, we would like to declare the winners of the competitions that were held on the 28th of May. We had 4 categories: coloring competition, card making, poster making, mono act, and best out of waste. The results will be declared in a short time now. Coloring competition. The first prize goes to Sharika Adika, CL8. The second prize goes to CL12, Tanushri. And the third prize for the coloring competition goes to CL20, Smriti Agnihotri. A big round of applause. We have a consolation prize as well for CL27, that's Sankalp Shetty. Our second category was that of card making. The first prize was won by Mr. Dhruv Roshan Shetty, CM1. This is a painting which was done by Dhruv, so you can see the images as well. The second prize goes to CM2, Shamita Adika. Third prize for card making goes to Mr. Divit Shetty, CM3. The consolation prize for card making goes to CM6, Mr. Rishon Haston Fernandez. The third category was that of poster making. The first prize goes to PM1, Ishita Somayaji. The second prize is shared amongst 2 participants, PM4 and PM5. PM4 is Shreyas Satish Amin. The children have put lovely messages on their posters. And PM5 goes to Mr. Danya Adappa. The third prize for poster making goes to PM3, Snehin Shetty. consolation prize for the poster making goes to Mr. Abhiman Shetty, PM2. A big round of applause, please, to all the poster making winners. We had a category called the Best Out of Waste. The first prize for the Best Out of Waste competition goes to BW1 and BW6. There was a tie here. The prize is shared by Mrs. Pavitra and Mr. Mohan Rao. The second prize for Best Out of Waste goes to BW8, Mrs. Sauda Shetty. We can see how they have used the Pepsi bottles to make a good coconut tree. And the third prize goes to BW4, Dr. Harshita Shailesh. Now comes the last category, that's the mono acting. The first prize for the mono acting goes to BW8, Mr. Mohan Rao. We'll play the video for you so that you all can see how they have acted. Audio issue. We're having some technical issues. Please bear with us.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, BW08. ನಾನು ಮೊನೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕೊರೋನಾದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಪಾತ್ರಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ. ಮರ ಕಡಿಯುವ, ಮರ, ಕೊರೋನಾ ಮತ್ತು ಮರ ಕಡಿಯುವ ನಮಗ. ಓ ರಾಮ, ಓಲು ಮಾರ ಒಂಜಿಲಾ ಕಾಡಿಜ್ಜಿ ಒಂಜಿ ಮರ ಕಡಿತು ಒಣಸು ಮಲ್ಪುಗ ಬಂಡ ಒಂಜೇ ಒಂಜಿ ಮರ ದಿಕ್ಕುಜಿ ಇನಿ ಕಾಂಡೆ ದನಿಕ್ಕುಲ್ಲ ಪೋನು ತೋಂಕ್ರ ಓಲ್ಲಂಬೇಯಿ ಪೂರ ಮರನ ಕಟ್ತದೆ ಇಂಕ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಲ್ಪೆರಂಡು ಅಂದಿಯೇ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಟ್ಟಲ ನಂಗೆ ಲಾಭನೆತ ಓ ಬರ್ತದ ಅಂದು ತೋಟಗು ಬರ್ಲೈಕ್ ಮರ ಉಂಟು ಕಡುಪುಗ ಕಡುಪುಗ ನೀನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ನೀನ್ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕಡಿತಿದ್ಯಾ? ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಉಪದ್ರ ಆದ್ರೂ ಏನು? ದಾದೆಯ ಇನ್ನಿ ಕೂಡ ಮರಲ್ಲ ಬಾತ ಇರೋದು ಅತ್ತು ಇತ್ತು ಈ ಮರತ್ತಕೇಂಡ ಎನ್ನದ ನೀ ಬಿಡ್ಪೇನಾ ಅಂಚ ನೀ ಮರನಿಗೆ ಏರಿದ್ದಿ ತುಲ ಯಾನು ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಕಡ್ಪೂನೆ ನೀನನ್ನು ಯಾಕೆ ಕಡಿತಿದ್ಯಾ? ನನ್ನಿಂದಾಗಿರುವ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನಗಳೆಷ್ಟು? ನೀನು ಇವತ್ತು ಉಸಿರಾಡುತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಾದರೆ, ಹಣ್ಣು ಹಂಪಲುಗಳನ್ನು ತಿನ್ನುತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಿದ್ದರೆ, ಗಿಡಮೂಲಿಕೆಗಳು ಸಿಗುತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಿಂದ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಈ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯನ್ನೇ ಕಡಿದು ನಾಶ ಮಾಡಲು ಹೊರಟಿರುವೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಿನಗೆ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಿಂದ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಅನುಭವ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ ನಂತರವೂ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಲ್ಲುತ್ತಿರುವೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಸರಿಯೇ? ಕೊಲ್ಲಬೇಡ, ಕೊಲ್ಲಬೇಡ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಕಡಿಬೇಡ, ಕಡಿಬೇಡ. ಕೊರೋನಾ ದಾನಿಯಾರು ಕೊರೋನಾ ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವನ್ನೇ ನನ್ನ ಮುಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಡಿದು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಮನುಷ್ಯರನ್ನು ಕೊಂದು ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾನವರೇ ಇಲ್ಲದಂತೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಕೊರೋನಾ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಮಗ ಮಗ ಎಂಕು ಎಂಕು పొడిగానుండు మగ ఎంకు దమ్ముగట్టును మగ ఎంకు దాదలా తీరొందిజ్జు మగ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಬೈದಿನಿಗೆ ಮಗ ನಾನು ದಾಲೆ ಮಲ್ಪಡ್ ಮಗ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅಮ್ಮೇರೆ ಇರು ದಾದೆಯೇ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಕೊರೋನನ್ನು ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ಲರು ದಾಲಜ್ಜಿ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಮತ್ತನ ಕೂಲೆ ಇನ್ನೇನೊಂಜಿನಮ್ಮ ಕೋಣೆಗಿಂಚ ಪಾಡು ನೋಡು ಎಪ್ಪಲ ಕೈದೆಕೊಂದು ಪೋಡು ಕೊಕ್ಕಡೆ ದಾಂತೆ ಪೋದು ರಾಶಿ ಬೂರಿಯರ ವಲ್ಲಿ ಬೊಕ್ಕ ಇರೇ ಗೊತ್ತುಂದತ್ತೆ ಇತ್ತ ರಡ್ಡು ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಬೈದಿನಿ ಐನೊಂಜಿ ಪಾಡ್ಲೆ ಅಪ್ಪಗ ಕೊರೋನಾದ ಅಮ್ಮೆಲ ಒಲಿಪೆ ಬಕ್ಕ ಎಂಚಿನಿ ಅಮ್ಮೆರೆ ಈರ್ಲ ಅಂಚನೆತ ಈತ ಮಾಯ ಬೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಬಲಿಪುನ ಬೆಟ್ಟದುಲೆಗೆ ಬಕ್ಕ ಇರೆಗೆ ದಮ್ಮು ಗಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಕುಳ್ಳುವ ನಿಕ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿನ ಮಾತ ಕರ್ತದೆ ಬುಡ್ತಿ ಜರ ಇತ್ತೆ ನಿಕ್ಲಿಗೆ ದಮ್ಮು ಗಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಬಂಡ ದಮ್ಮು ಗಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಕುಳ್ಳುಂಡ ಇಂದೇ ಪಪ್ಪ ಇರೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಅಲ್ಪಲೆ ಇತ್ತುಲೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಡೇ ಬಂದುಂಡು ಐಕ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾತಿರ್ಲ ಒಂಜಂಜಿ ನರಮಾಣಿ ಒಂಜಂಜಿ ಗಿಡನ ನಂಡ ಪೊರ್ಲುದ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಹಬ್ಬುಡು ಈ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಮಾತೆ ಕುಸಿಟ್ಟಿತ್ತನ ನಮ್ಮಲ ಕುಸಿಟುಪ್ಪ ಐಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಬಲೆ ಪಪ್ಪ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂಜಿ ಗಿಡನ ನೆಡ್ಕ ಬಲೆ ಮಾತೆರ್ಲ ಗಿಡನ ನೆಡ್ಲೆ.
The second winner for the mono act goes to BW5, Mrs. Della Rego.
ಸುಪ್ರಭಾತ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ, ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ? ಗುಡ್ ಗುಡ್. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ, ಅದೇನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಸುಂದರವಾದ ಗುಲಾಬಿ ಹೂವನ್ನು ಮುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆಯಾ? ಇವತ್ತೇನು ವಿಶೇಷ? ಬಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ನಿನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೂ, ಗಿಡ, ಪಶು, ಪಕ್ಷಿ, ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಅಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಿನ್ನ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಟಿರಬಹುದು. ಹಾಗೇನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಟೀಚರ್. ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಣಿನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಗಿಡನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವಿಶಾಲವಾದ ಅಂಗಳ ಇದೆ. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೋಣೆಗಳಿವೆ. ಅಪ್ಪ ಆಫೀಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್, ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಅಂತ ಸೋಫಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಪಾಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತೇನೆ ಟೀಚರ್. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಬೇಜಾರು ಟೀಚರ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಹಾಗೆ ವಿಷಯ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ, ಬೇಜಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡ. ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ, ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಡುಗೆ ಕೋಣೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ತ್ಯಾಜ್ಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್, ಬಾಟಲ್, ಪೇಪರ್, ಹಣ್ಣು, ಹಂಪಲು, ತರಕಾರಿ ಇದರ ತ್ಯಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದ ರಸಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಸುಂದರವಾದ ಹೂ, ಗಿಡ ಮತ್ತು ತರಕಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಬೆಳೆಸಬಹುದು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ. ಹೌದಾ ಟೀಚರ್? ಹೌದು. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನ ತಾಯಿಯೊಡನೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಅವರನ್ನು ಕರೆದಿದ್ದೇನಂತ ಹೇಳು. ಆಯಿತು, ಖಂಡಿತ ಟೀಚರ್. ಅಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀಯಾ ಅಮ್ಮ ನೀನು? ಬೇಗ ಬಾ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಏನು ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕೂಗಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀಯಾ? ಅಮ್ಮ, ನಾಳೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದಾರಮ್ಮ. ಯೋ, ಇದೊಂದು ಗ್ರಾಚಾರ. ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಈ ಸಲ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ತಂದಿದೀಯಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಮ್ಮ, ನಾನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನಂತೆ ಆ ಟೀಚರಿಗೆ? ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಹಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಮ್ಮ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಡುಗೆ ಕೋಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತ್ಯಾಜ್ಯ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮಾಡಿ ರಸಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೂ, ಗಿಡ, ತರಕಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ನೆಡುವುದಂತೆ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡ್ತಾರಂತ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಬಾ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಡ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಗೊಬ್ಬರನ ನಾನಾ ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟಪಡಬೇಕಾ? ಈ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಫೋನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಏನು ಸಾಮಾನು ಬೇಕೋ ಅದು ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ತಂದು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂಥದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ನಾನೇಕೆ ಪಡಬೇಕು? ನನಗಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀನು ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗು, ನಿನ್ನ ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬ ಹೋಗು. ನನ್ನ ಅಮ್ಮ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಒಪ್ಪುದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಹೂ ಕುಂಡಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನದೇ ಆದ ಒಂದು ಹೂ, ಗಿಡ, ತರಕಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಅಮ್ಮನ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ಇಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಆಗ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಸಂತೋಷಪಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೈ ಹಿಡಿದು ನನ್ನೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ನನ್ನ ಪರಿಸರವು ಹಸಿರು ವನವಾಗಿ ನಿಸರ್ಗ ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಿದ ಮತ್ತು ದೇವರು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಸಿದ ದುಂಬಿಗಳು, ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಚಿಟ್ಟೆಗಳು ನನ್ನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಾಗುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡುವಿರೆಂದು ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛವಾಗಿ ಇಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಉಳಿಸಿ ಭೂತಾಯಿಗೆ ನಮಿಸಿ ಅವಳನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡೋಣ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
The third prize for the Mono Act goes to BW9, Mr. Jagannath Shetty. We'll play his video in a short while.
ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ನೆಸರು ದೇವೇರು ಬನ್ನಗ ಭೂಮಿ ಬುಲ್ಪಾನಗ ಮುಡಾಯಿ ದೇವೇರು ಮೂಡುವೇರು ಬಲ್ಪಾಪುಡು ಮುಡಾಯ್ದಿಲ್ಲಡು ಮುತ್ತುದ ಪನ್ನೀರು ತಲ್ತಿನಂಚ ಬಾನ ಪೊರ್ಲಾತಡು ಇಂಚಿನ ಪೊರ್ತುಡು ದೂರೋಡುಂಜಿ ಮಲ್ಲ ಶಬ್ದ ಒಂತೆ ಪೊರ್ತು ಆಮೇಕೆ ಕೇಬಿ ಕೊರ್ನಗ ಮಲಮಲ್ಲ ಮರಕುಲು ನೆಲಕು ಬೂರುನ ಶಬ್ದ ಇಂಚಿನ ಒಂಜಿ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ ಸೂಟು ಬೂಟು ಪಾಡ್ದಿನ ಒಂಜಿ ಜವನೆ ಕಡ್ತ ದಿನ ಕಾಡದ ನಡುಟೆ ನೆಲಕು ಬೂರ್ದಿನ ಮಲಮಲ್ಲ ಮರಕುಲೇನು ಭಾರಿ ಖುಷಿಟ್ಟು ತುವೊಂದುಲ್ಲೆ ಆಯನಾತಿಗೆ ಆಯ ಅಂಚಿಂಚಿ ಪೋವೊಂದು ದಾದನ ಮಲ್ಲ ಯೋಜನೆದ ತಯಾರಿಡುಲ್ಲೆ ರಪ್ಪ ಜವನೆ ಫೋನ್ ದೆತ್ತದು ಎರಡನ ಪಾತೆರೊಂದುಲ್ಲೆ ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ ಆಯ್ನಾತ್ ಬೇಗ ಈ ಮರಕುಲೇನ್ ಮಾತ ಸಾಗಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಬರ್ಪೇರು ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ನಕ್ಷ ಮಾತ ರೆಡಿ ಉಂಡು ನಿಕ್ಲನ ಬೇಲೆ ಬೇಗ ಸುರು ಮಲ್ಪುಲೆ ಉಂತು ಉಂತು ಯಾನು ವೃಕ್ಷದೇವತೆ ಉಂಜಿ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಲ ತುಂಬುದಿ ಉಚ್ಚಿ ಪಚ್ಚದಿಂಜಿನ ಈ ಮಲೆನ ಕರ್ತದ ಬಾರಿ ಖುಷಿಟ್ಟು ಪೋವೊಂದುಲ್ಲತ್ತ ಮರತ ಆಸರಿಡಿತ್ತಿನ ಏತೋ ಜೀವಲು ಕನ ನೀರು ದೆಪ್ಪುನ ನಿನ್ನ ಕನ್ನಗ ತೋಜಿಚೆತ್ತ ನಿನ್ನ ಲೆಕ್ಕನೆ ಎಂಕಲಿಗೆ ಜೀವ ಉಂಟು ಬೇನೆ ಬೆಸರುಂಡು ಪಂಪಿನ ಮರೆತನ ಓ ಕಲ್ಲು ಮನಸ್ಸದ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ನಿಕ್ಕ ಬೇನೆ ಅಪ್ಪಡು ಜೀವಿಲೆಗ ಆಸರಿಜ್ಜಿ ಪಡೆದು ಯಾನು ಎನ್ನ ಭವಿಷ್ಯನು ಕಟ್ಟನೊಚ್ಚ ಎಂಕ ಬದುಕರೆ ಬೋಡಾಯ್ನಿ ಕಾಸು ಕಾಸು ಅವಳ ಒಂತೆತ್ತು ದಿಂಜ ಅವನಿಕ್ಕ ಗೊತ್ತುಂಡ ಓ ಮರ್ಲ ಸಾರ ಜನ್ಮದ ಪುಣ್ಯದ ಫಲುಟು ತಿಕ್ಕಿನ ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಜನ್ಮನೇ ವ್ಯರ್ಥ ಬದುಕರೆ ಕಾಸು ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪಡೆದು ಭೂಮಿ ಅಪ್ಪಿನ ದೊಂಕಡ ಒಂದು ಬೀಜನ ಗಾಳಿ ಈ ಪರ್ಪಿನ ನೀರು ತಿನ್ಪಿನ ತೆನಸು ಇಜ್ಜಂದೆ ಕಾಸು ತಿಂದು ಬದುಕರೆ ಅಪ್ಪುಜಿ ಈ ಭೂಮಿ ನಿಕ್ಕ ಉರಿಯಾಗೆ ಮೆರೆಯರೆತ್ತು ನಿನ್ನ ನಂತರ ಏತೋ ತಲೆಮಾರದು ಬದುಕದು ಬಾಳ್ವೆ ಮಲ್ಪುಡಾಯ್ನ ಈ ಮಣ್ಣ ಪನ್ಪಿನೇನ ತೆರಿಯನ ಈ ನಿನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟುಕತೆಗೆ ನೀರೇ ಎಂಕ ಪುರ್ಸೊತ್ತಜ್ಜಿ ಯಾನು ಬರ್ಪೆ ಓ ದೇವರೇ ಒಂದು ಎಂಚಿನ ದೊಂಬು ಜೋರು ಬಾಜಲಾಪುಂಡು ಪರಿಯರೆ ನೀರ್ಲಾ ಇಜ್ಜಿ ಒಲ್ಪಲ ನೀರ್ದ ಪಟ್ಟೆ ಬಸಲಾ ತೋಜಿಜಿ ಔದಾದ ಸ್ವರ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಲು ನರಕುನ ಸ್ವರ ನೀರಿಜ್ಜಂದೆ ಏತೋ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಕ್ಷಿಲು ಸೈತೊಂದುಲ್ಲ ಭೂಮಿ ಅಪ್ಪೆಡ ನೀರ್ದ ಪನಿ ಇಜ್ಜಂದೆ ಬರಡಾತೋಲು ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಎಂಕಲ ಉಸುಲು ಕಟ್ಟೊಂದು ಒಂದು ಒಂದು ಎನ್ನ ಅವಸಾನದ ಸೂಚನೆನಾ ಓ ನರಮಾನಿ ಯಾನೇ ಈ ಭೂಮಿಡು ಬುದ್ಧಿಜೀವಿ ಒಂದು ಬೀಗೊಂದು ಉಲ್ಲತ್ತ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಧನೆಗೆ ಈಯೇ ಬೆರಿಬಿಟ್ಟೊಂದು ಶಾಬಾಷ್ ಪನೊಂದುಲ್ಲತ್ತ ಆಂಡ ನಿಕ್ಕ ಗೊತ್ತುಜ್ಜಿ ಈ ಭೂಮಿಡಿ ಈ ಪಂತಿರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಪಡೆದು ಪಂಚಭೂತೊಲಿಡು ಉಂಡಾಯಿನ ಈ ಭೂಮಿ ಅಪ್ಪೆ ಪೆದ್ದಿ ಅಪ್ಪೆದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಮಿತ್ತು ಪಂಪಿನ ಮರೆತನ ನಿನ್ನ ಆಸೆ ಅಮಿಷಗೂ ಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಸುಖಕ್ಕೂ ಮರ ಗಿಡುಕುಲನು ಕರ್ತೊಂದುಲ್ಲತ್ತ ಕಾಡಿಡಿತ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಏತೋ ಜೀವಿಲಿನ ನಾಶ ಮಲ್ತೊಂದುಲ್ಲತ್ತ ಉನು ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಶಗೂ ಮುನ್ನುಡಿ ಮದ ಪೊಡ್ಚಿ ನೆನೆಪುದೀಲೆ ಜನನಿ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿಶ್ಚ ಸ್ವರ್ಗದ ಪಿಗರಿಯಸಿ ಜನನಿ ಬೊಕ್ಕ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿ ಸ್ವರ್ಗರ್ದುಲಾ ಮಿಗಿಲಾಯಿನ ಬಂದುಲೆ ಬಲೆ ಮರಗಿಡ ಬುಲೆಪಾಗ ಭೂಮಿ ತಾಯಿನ ಒರಿಪಾಗ ಮರಗಿಡ ಬುಲೆಪಾಗ ಭೂಮಿ ತಾಯಿನ ಒರಿಪಾಗ ಸುರು ನಮ ಮಲ್ಪುಗ ಬೊಕ್ಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೋಕ್ಲೆಗ್ಲಾ ಕಲ್ಪಾಗ ಸುರು ನಮ ಮಲ್ಪುಗ ಬೊಕ್ಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೋಕ್ಲೆಗ್ಲಾ ಕಲ್ಪಾಗ ಉನು ನಮಡ ಉಪ್ಪುನ ನನದ ಸಾಧಿ ಪರಿಸರ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆನ ನಿಜವಾಯಿನ ಅರ್ಥೋಡು ಆಚರಿಸಾಗ ಸುಲ್ಮೆಲ್
was for all the contestants and the participants, the winners, in fact, who have won the competitions which were held on the 28th of May. I'm very sure the judges must have had a very tough time to decide who the winners are to be. We thank you all once again for putting in your time and judging the events. Congratulations to all the winners. The winners will be, we will contact you all personally, and we'll be giving away the prizes to you all very soon. Now we have a few more videos to play. These are from the new joiners or the new members who have joined the Bunts Qatar committee. So just relax and enjoy the videos that are coming across now.
Thank you.
ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ ಎಪ್ಪನ ಬರ್ತಾಯ ಒಂದು ನಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ ಇಚ್ಚಿರಿ ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿಯೇ ನಿದ್ರೆಡು ಪುನಃ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಕ್ಕಲ ಬಿday ಬದು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಯಾ ಈ ಮೂಜಿ ಪಡ್ತು ತಿನ್ చెప్పు ಎಂಗುಲಡೆ ಮಲ್ಪ ಬೊಕ ದಿನಂದೆ ಕಾಲಿ ಬಂಜಿ ಜೆತ್ರ ನಿದ್ರೆ ಬಂಡು ಆಕಲೆ ನಾನು ಕೊನದು ನೂದು ಜಂತ ಗ್ಯಾಂಗದ ನಡುಟು ಕುಲ್ಲಾದು ಇಂಚ ಪಿಸ್ತೂಲ್ ದೀತಿ ಅವೇ ಪಿಸ್ತೂಲ್ ದೆತ್ತದ ಆತ್ಮವಿಶ್ವಾಸೋಡಾಗ್ಲೇ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೋಡು ಎನ್ನ ಬಡಿದಿ ಚೋಕ್ಲೆ ನೀ ಸಾಂಕೋನ ನನ್ನ ಮೂಲೆನ ಅಂದತ ಧರ್ಮಗುವನಸ್ పెందిరాడియా
క్లాస్ ఎన్న
ಗೊತ್ತುಂಡು ಎಂಕು ಅವು ನನ್ನ ಎನ್ನನಿ ಎಂಕೆರಡಲ ನಟ್ಟದು ಕೇಂದ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿ ಕೈ ಬಂದೆ
The TikTok video was by Mr. Ashish Alva. A big round of applause to Mr. Sukaram and to Mr. Ashish Alva. I would now like to hand over the mic to Mr. Avinash Shetty to conduct the vote of thanks.
Good evening all. You all enjoyed this great event.
It's our duty to acknowledge people behind the of this event. First and foremost, on behalf of Qatar, we would like to thank our guest of honor, Mr. Fahad Abdullah, Public Relations Manager, Friends of Environment Center, for gracing this occasion. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful work. We would like to thank Dr. Ben Hamadou, for a wonderful presentation on COVID-19 and climate changes. Thank you for considering our request and for an informative talk. Thank you, sir. Our sincere thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Ashwath Hegde, Managing Director, Envy Green Biotech Private Limited, for being with us on our request and for that informative and motivating speech. Thank you, sir. Our sincere gratitude to all those who helped us to judge the competition. Mrs. Milan Arul, Dr. Sri Kumar, Mrs. Deepti Prakash. Thank you all for giving your valuable time and we would like to thank Mrs. Deepti Prakash for a wonderful workshop on paint and plant and guided the children to showcase their skill. Thank you, ma'am. Our sincere gratitude to Ms. Sudha Manjunath and Ms. Harini Rai for lending us space to plant this morning. Thank you, Mrs. Sudha and Mrs. Harini. We would like to thank in Biotech Private Limited sponsoring T-shirts for all the winners and participants of Earth Hour and Earth Day. We would like to thank Friends of Environment for sponsoring us 100 plants. Our sincere thanks to all the dignitaries of different associations present with us. Our gratitude to our advisors for their support and advice. Sincere thanks to all the subcommittee and MC members for planning and coordinating the events. Last but not the least, congratulations to all the winners. And also we would like to thank participants and their parents for their effort and to make this event grand success on behalf of, lastly on behalf of Bunts Qatar. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. And also thank you, Ms. Shetty, for conducting this event closely and gracefully. Over to you, Ms. Shetty.
Thank you, Avinash, for your kind words. We would like to end this event today, thanking all of you all for attending the virtual event. I hope you all had a good time listening to our speakers, seeing the art done by our little children, seeing the saplings that were planted by Bunts Qatar and the little children at Little Flower Kindergarten. This is one way we could contribute to the nature. Let it not be a one-day event. Let's keep encouraging our children to do this at least once a month. Encourage them to grow plants, encourage them to take care of the plants. This is all we can do to the community and for a better place to live in. Thank you once again. We will be handing over the gifts to the children very soon. We will keep them notified about the date and the place. Once again, thanking all of you all. Wish you all a good evening and good night and Shabbat Khair. Thank you very much.